and intention behind creating this particular video is to address myself upon layers of clarifications that the majority of those whom believe might have the assumptions or the misconceptions of understanding who I am and what I am, of our fellow purpose, of our conscious journey of awakening consciousness or provoking consciousness, and on everything that is underlining who I am is so beyond complex and complicated, even for the minds of the finite, of the majority radius of our population, whom understands so very little of the world around us, the reality in which that we ourselves as human beings, as a mortality, we cannot even comprehend. And as a true shaman practitioner, as a spiritualist, as a theosophist, on behalf of Genevieve, including in addition to myself, we are but one in the same. And that's not just bonded through our stronger entwinement of our relationship, or the covalent bonds of our genetic imperfections as the mortality is concerned. And under the will of God, we are all, as human beings, naturally developed in the integration of our systematic imperfections, as what is quoted in the Bible as being such sinners. And the one thing that absolutely disgusts and sickens me is how there are so many people upon social media, between myself and coworkers, or between myself and the world around us, we do not find ourselves to being accepted into a modern civilization of our humanity as it has become today, as what you see around you. However, what you see around you is not always the truth. You see, there's so much more to life than drinking lattes and, watching television, constantly drowning ourselves inside of technology. And granted, I incorporate technology for a positive perspective. It's a channel in which I use or manipulate as a vessel to furthermore broadening the horizons of knowledge, of insight, of positive energies, of inspiration, of influence, of a greater adapting of truths and of reality. And myself, I never will and never have pretended to be anyone else, with the exception of myself. And to be anything or anyone else is something that I have never understood or remotely even comprehend to even how to be something else in life. So, and furthermore, for myself, me personally, to stray away from the path of the light under the testament and the immaculate grace of the light and its divine providence is something that I will never find myself to fall under or fall astray, or to derive such little meaning in each day of my life. And yes, believe it or not, for those of you who don't know me, I do believe in a divine creator. As I had mentioned numerous occasions from past, present, and possibly towards the future now. And I hope to God that this video itself will clarify that, yes, indeed, I do believe in a divine creator. And that's another thing about myself. Neither Jen or myself personally care of what you might believe in. You have the freedom, the entitlement, and the perspective of how you should coexist your personal life partner. As ourselves, we are very much open-minded. We accept everyone with open hearts and arms. And our philosophy is coexistence. It's a one word. It's just one word itself that is so self-explanatory. A peaceful resolution of coexistence. We bind together despite our flaws, despite our imperfection, despite our difference in religious, spiritual, or lifestyle beliefs and choices and preferences and what have you, the sexual preferences, and the list continues to delve inside of itself. It drowns itself so much to the core that it becomes a benevolent, of a primordial ooze together. We ourselves, we are spiritualists, we are theosophists for a reason. I am myself a shamanic practitioner for a reason. And I accept everyone with open arms. Unless, that is, of course, if you should decide to betray me of my trust, or somehow put notions of distrust into our mouth, or put a sour taste in the poison of our hearts, or of your intentions. And I have a zero tolerance for ignorance. I have a zero tolerance for intolerance. I have an absolute impatience for those who, as the majority of people whom are so quick to judge, who have an assumption about every little thing for who you are, and what you believe in, what you stand for, I guess those are too same, but of how you live your life, or, why you do the specific things that you do. I, for one, I do the things that I do specifically for a reason, for thought-provoking. And through that derives inspiration. It creates a creation of infinite art, and to being alive for life itself, and everything that encircles or encompasses or entwines or collectively binds in a state of consciousness of breathing life itself, is derived responsibility. It's derived with even greater knowledge, is derived responsibility. However, just being alive, breathing the air of the modern world and of the future, and being a messenger of light. As ourselves, we are star beings, we are light workers. And that, with being as a spiritualist, it creates an endless avenue of so much enduring responsibility, so much enduring passion and intensity in your fire. And there's just so much negative energy in today's modern world, and so much judgments to circulate around continuously, a harvesting of unnecessary, a mold of blackening eyes in our hands. And we need so very little of it. As a matter of fact, we need a lot less of it. And the one thing I wanted to, in particular, clarify is that, if I shouldn't say you, because that would not be fair, because I don't know who you are, you were watching the video. However, for those of you who continue to judge myself or Genevieve, is absolutely unjustified. It's disgraceful, it's disgusting, it's apathetic, and quite pathetic, honestly. In all honest to God, it is a diminutive. It's just absolutely meaningless. My occurrence is that, my philosophy is simple. You should get to know that particular person, or you should get to know one another beneath the bones and the flesh of the skeletal body of an individual. And recognize the light and the positive energy within the heart of oneself. And for someone to judge one another it's not necessary in the slightest. And I've actually had, all throughout the duration of my entire human existence, of my life, I have had nothing but others to judge me personally for who I am, for who I once were, or even who I will have become. And for this reason, myself being a perfectionist and a realist, I do not have many friends. And friendships is something to me voided, jaded, and blackened to the core. And I need not to be surrounded in a life by others that I have no correlation of relation. I have nothing to relate towards. Everyone wants to talk about television shows and, marijuana and 420 or alcohol and partying and drugs or what have you, and the most diminutive, meaningless, insignificant, irrelevant things of the human species, of coexisting or breathing the appropriations of a true life. Not spending your time with technology or partying, wasting your life away, getting in trouble, finding yourself surrounded by gossip and drama. However, to find yourself to celebrate our planet, the conservationism of nature, the conservationism of your future, of yourselves, and how to better yourselves. I've been on YouTube for almost 3 years now, and over a duration of a course of progression of time, my underlining message has got to become more clear, direct, prominent, or at the very least, or at the very most, brutally honest. I refuse to bite my tongue or to hold back my actions for anyone in the world. So this day and age of placing the sword of judgment upon one another needs to end. A dawn of a positive reimbursement and awakening to recognizing the paradigm shift as we have felt in the alignment of the universe is approaching. And whether if you sheeple, if you should decide to continue to wear the blindfolds as you have been all throughout the duration of your meaningless existences, and yes, to furthermore, besides being a theosophist, a realist, a visionary, a wayseer, a light worker, a star being, a indigo child, a state of reincarnation, a state of consciously advanced and evolved, progressive human being in the civilization as I have become. Yes, I'm a bit of a misanthropic as well. And for reasons are obvious. You take a look around you, so much so that you're surrounded by so much of the vastness of the cities and the suburbanism of life itself. And you know what? It's so astounding to me of how people, human beings, who cannot understand anything outside of the fixation of their sickened reality. They have no understanding of spiritualism, of nature, of the environment around us. It's not only pertaining to that, but it could be about world politics, it could be about the study of philanthropy or human psychology, observing human nature, or even in your own personal lives, how to better yourselves, how to rub together the salting of our wounds so that we can progressively move forward towards the future. Yes, I guess that's true, and ultimately, make America great again, right? Yes, make the world great again. I vote for that. I vote for that. You know, especially within the cosplay community, there's so much judgments to go around, and it's baffling to me of how so many people understand about science fiction culture and cosplay more than anything else in the world. You know, it's time for a progressive, positive change towards the future, and there's no time like the present, so they say, right? Myself, I was chosen to have been reincarnated, whether if this was a blessing or a curse, a sacred honor or another provided opportunity, into a fifth dimension or fourth dimensional as this reality is in the present life. It's chosen to have been born by God, a divine creator, in the name of Jesus Christ and Yahshua and Yahweh, in order to have been provided with this purpose and destiny, and this soulless, godless humanity that we have ourselves to blame internally, that human beings have become. As a messenger of light, I was born into isolation for this specific purpose, to restore a self-grounding of balance and order to the world. It's just so, you know, it strikes a core, like right here. This is all that I stand for. And so little do human beings understand the flesh and bones of who I have become. Humanity frustrates me to the core so much. So much. Through its blasphemy and of its ignorance. You know, it's interesting that, just like I said earlier, everything that I ultimately do is for the purpose of thought-provoking. And because of this, we could derive inspiration from a deeper grassroots beneath our fundamental of our well, not me anyway, but others' lack of purpose in the world. They're just barely breathing. But they refuse to coexist. They refuse to open their eyes to a furthermore of a deeper truth of reality. And inspiration through thought-provoking allows the gateways and the portals from within ourselves to become free. We discover that freedom so that we could find that deeper courage and motivation, and so we can move towards the future. And one of the photographs in which I had posted, and a short little documentary clip that I had constructed together on behalf of my publication for my second book, Shape-Shifting the Ouroboros of Astral Projection, where it talks and it has a deeper discussion, especially in my first book, not so much my first book, more my second book, of ultimately fighting against or oppressing my darkest of demons, drowning out the consciousness of darkness or of darker energies. I am neither light nor do I belong as a part of darkness. I am in between. Hence, that makes me a part of the shadows. and through the macabre, I find a necessary beauty of balance inside a light, as well as darkness. There's darkness inside a light, and light to be found inside of darkness. There's that equal balance of all things, just like yin and yang. Oh, by the way, this is something that not many people know of. Before the neo-Nazis perverted the swastika symbol, I hate to say it, everyone, but that was actually an ancient old symbol, just like the Ouroboros, of the Chinese and Tibetan monks actually had used as a part of the lineage of their ancestry in Oriental culture, as a symbolic representation of peace and tranquility, and of good karma, of positive balance. So, I'm sorry if the thought provoked your mind for a bit, but that's the honest to God truth. Research it if you will. So, through this inspiration of thought-provoking, not only inspires art, self-expressionism, creativity, also a natural balance to the chaos of a world through sanity or insanity. And I allow the viewers, I allow people to govern their own consciousness in such a perspective to clearing perceptions so that they would be able to ultimately create their own path towards the future. And through this, they are able to better themselves and to better the world around them, to allowing themselves to the benefit to helping one another, to become greater each day of our life. So I ultimately had this photograph, this documentary of me tying a noose around my throat and having it hanged above me. And you know, it's everything that I do, it speaks upon an expressionism from a deeper core of myself, as a way to not only express art, but also my deeper emotions and past and present experiences, and of inspiration. And someone had accused me to romanticizing suicide or taking your own life. Absolutely not. I've actually created a handful of quite a few videos from a recent past where I had spoken of, and I've become more open of surrounding my deeper and darker emotions and human feelings of, you know, depression and things of nature, of how I aspire through my art and through my philosophy, through my knowledge, and through creating videos and writing books to inspire and help people that suffer with things as myself does. Sometimes it's not enough to talk about things. You have to actually illustrate certain things in order to get your point across, in order to get your message out into the open airwaves of the world. The ignorance of the minds of those who refuse to listen to a voice of reasoning, of deeper knowledge and truths, are those of themselves who are still wearing blindfolds. And that's truly unfortunate to me. Personally, that's degrading to me as a human being. And there's an infinite amount of blackness in the world. A human beings are so tainted to the core. To constant struggle to basically upright your balance in the walk, in the light. And to be someone as myself, to stand here in front of a camera or to type certain things on social media, to pretend to be someone that I am not, or what I feel or what I think of, is a utmost disgrace to myself and a hypocrisy. I might as well be a heretic. And I'm better off dead. I could never imagine myself to be anyone or anything else in the world. So for those of you who actually take the time and the investment of your time and energy to getting to know me beneath the surface, I thank you for it and for your positive support. And myself struggling on a regular basis with, well, I should not say I struggle with it. It's more of, finding a beauty inside of darkness. And for this reason alone, I welcome it. I embrace the dark and the light. So many of human beings are inevitably and ultimately afraid, and they revel themselves inside of a deeper paralysis of fear, of death, darkness, and the macabre, and of the unknown of life. And they're so willing to judge without the incentive to getting to know what it is, or how it feels, or how the positive benefits and reimbursement that comes from within it. It's nothing to fear. I mean, there's nothing to fear of life itself, and you have to practice the open-mindedness towards everything of life. And if people actually take the time to purchasing a copy of my book, God forbid, everyone would rather spend money on video games and alcohol and drugs and prostitutes or what have you. They would actually take the time to travel beneath the deeper core of my thoughts and the impulse of my emotion, and for who I am, our purpose, and the reasons why I do this or do that, or why on our behalf we are so passionate in the circle of the full moon of our greater balance. So and furthermore, I've actually taken a time investment to invite the majority of my friends, quote unquote, for a celebration of Earth Day gathering. And where are the majority of people? Too fucking busy in a Comic-Con. One of my many frustrations of the world, of the modern world anyways. Much too busy drowning ourselves inside the mechanisms of our technology, the materialism of our world today, drowning deeper beneath the crevices and the layers of mortality, the irrelevancies of distractions, television, the news media, the educational systems, a sense of broadening of mind control. For you, so inevitably, if you should decide if you actually have the investment or the undertaking of desire to getting to know who I am, I would hope that maybe, perhaps you should decide to purchase a copy of my book so that you may read it for yourself. And need I remind everyone that I am currently in a process of writing my third publication, which would actually be so much more darker, deeper, and a lot more detailed and explicit and thought-provoking. So, well, for those of us who are awakened, I am blessed to be alive each day of my life. However, I am not blessed to be alive inside of a materialistic world surrounded by parasites of those who continue to isolate themselves through apathy and judge one another. Hello, honey.
Hey, mister, where's the car keys for the Durango? I'm gonna take the dirt out of the bag.
I'll help you. I'm just wrapping this up. And for those of whom care not in the slightest to improving their own lives, of the betterment of their own behalf, or of the world around them, I have absolutely zero tolerance in the entire world for individuals as those. And it's such a sickening and disturbing thing to see in our world today, how so many people care everything about their own selves and nothing of others around them, and absolutely nothing at all. And you know, I don't know, the more I continue to talk about this, more of my misanthropic state of conscience, my nature, suffocates the better half of myself. The sheer mental laziness of people is just so astounding and surreal. That is the surrealism of reality, the materialism in which others constantly drown themselves. Time and time again, you know, I've been successful with the promotion and publication of my books out there. It seems so little do people care, or of our videos, but granted, I feel personally blessed under the grace of God, of our Creator, and of ancientness of gods, for those who actually are consciously aware and understand the fundamentals of life itself, of appropriate life, of true values of human life, the aesthetics of coexistence. And for those who are willing to provide me with an open opportunity to getting to know who I am. Well, getting to know someone is one thing. However, sustaining development of that relationship in particular for friendships is one other thing, which is, it seems I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and neither will I ever be. Even if I was a multi-millionaire, if I ended up in Hollywood one day, yeah. I still will not find a place of my acceptance among a humanity as this. And it's a simple thing, you know. It's not necessarily asking much, exception to opening your mind travel outside of your comfort zone. Stop being on your phone, stop being on your camera, stop sitting on a television and watching, tying a noose around your throat and being bombarded with television, hanging yourself with technology and materialism and capital and like marketing gain, and a focus on the reality of life, not money, not the big fancy cars or big fancy houses or the diamond rings that you wear or all the materialism of things that you wear, what you have. I could honest to God care less. No one cares. So, farewell, everyone. Just remember that for those of you who should decide to judge me, you have no power or authority over myself. You never will, and you never have. And furthermore, in conclusion of this particular video, once you get to know who I am beneath the surface, not Facebook, not social media, but actually recognize the light inside of me, the positive intention of our nature, the positive balance, and my spiritual authority. Even then, if you may have known all of that, you still have no entitlement or authority to judge me. As a matter of fact, you have no authority to judge one another. Only God Himself has that authority. No. Well, I hope that our videos continue to inspire you, to influence you in a positive perspective, and I would hope never for the negative. And thank you always for watching our videos and for your positive support. For those of you whom are consciously awakened, God bless you, and continue your faith in the light of God, of the universe, or of anything, whatever that you believe in that's positive. And farewell, blessed be, namaste, infinite blessings, farewell.